And my mother told me, be proud that you're an Indian, but be careful who you tell. I came up with the idea. I said, let's pull the train into the station. Let's get off the road and not go out in front of people if we can't do our best. Let's not do that. But let's have a celebration of music, of something that we have stirred up in other artists and in people. Let's have a celebration like nobody's ever had before. Let's have the Last Waltz. And everybody was like, nice, nice. And it started out very modestly. We were going to play a concert at the place where we played the first concert as the band, Winterland in San Francisco. And we wanted to invite Ronnie, Hawkins, and Bob Dylan, the two guys that played such an incredible part in our story. So we said, all right, that's great. And then someone said, I know, but we can't do this and not invite Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton quit his band when he heard your first record because he thought, shit, I'm doing something wrong, and started to hang around you guys. That's how big an impact you had on Eric Clapton.
And that's why someone said, we can't do this and not have Eric Clapton. He said he's been there, he's been waving the flag for the band, you know. And so you were saying, oh, yeah, that's kind of true. And then, you know, I said, but if we invite Eric, don't we have to have Van Morrison come too? God, it's Van the man, come on, you know? And then it was like, well, the Canadians, don't we really, really need to have Joni and Neil Young there? Come on, you know? And this thing over time, just in such a natural way, it wasn't about we want this to be big or we want it to be anything other than musical. We want it to be such great music. And so it grew in a way that all of these artists, Muddy Waters, Chicago Blues, boom, you can't beat that, right? New Orleans, Dr. John the Night Tripper, come on in. You know what I mean? We went down the line with each of these people because of the real specialness of their musical, of where they were coming from, what they were representing. And so putting all this together, and then Bill Graham was the first one who said, well, you need to document this, you know, and somehow. I mean, you can't just, this may never happen again. So we thought, oh my God. And I was a movie buff. I was a movie buff since I was a teenager. And I knew about directors. And so I thought, Hal Ashby, boy, he's got away with music and films. And then look at George Lucas and American Graffiti. That was fun. So I'm going through all these things. But there was one guy who used music in his films in such a different way than everybody else that I knew he had an instinct, he had a magic that money can't buy. There was something about this guy's, you know, he would put this with that and it was like, boom, you know, music and the movie and the scene, they were all the same to him. I could feel that. It was Martin Scorsese. So I went and I met with him and I asked him if he would help us with this and help us put together a film on this. And he said, I'm in the middle of shooting a movie. They don't like it when you go and shoot another movie in the middle of shooting a movie, you know? And then he finally figured out a way around this, but we couldn't tell anybody. We didn't tell anybody who was gonna be on this show. It was only the band, and nobody could know. It was just completely underground. This has to be done on a level of connection, musical connection, and feeling your way, and listening, and being in focus with everybody. And we got through all of those songs, going from Joni Mitchell to Muddy Waters, and never one clinker in the whole night. So it was kind of like the gods were, you know, looking out for us or something, and that ended up becoming the Last Waltz movie.
But the gods weren't looking out for us, the audience, because you couldn't film all the songs. You had to make choices.
Yeah.
Why do you think that movie holds up? Why do you think it worked so well as a concert film? What did Marty bring to it? Like, what did you guys do that you watch The Last Waltz now and think, wow, that's it? Like, no one's come close to it. Talking Heads made a great film. They made a great film. But why do you think The Last Waltz was the one?
Well, like I was saying, that these elements fit together so well, and there was something so honest about the whole thing that it rose to another occasion. And having Martin Scorsese do this, he brought in the greatest cinematographers. On a movie, you have one cinematographer. He brought in a herd of them, and they operated themselves. You know, they light, you know, and somebody else operated. They operated themselves, and they did such an incredible job. He asked this gentleman by the name of Boris Levin to help us with the production design. So Boris Levin, he did West Side Story, Giant, Sound of Music, and on and on and on. He's one of the greatest production designers that ever lived, right? He comes to San Francisco. He says, all right, I'll help you out. Comes up and he has these ideas of these orange lights shining down on the, they were serving dinner at this too, Thanksgiving dinner for 5,000 people. They were trucking in gravy like for days on this thing. It was Bill Graham. I thought, I don't know. So anyway, Boris Levin says, we're gonna have these ribbons of orange light shining down on all the tables while they're feasting. And they're, you know, and this whole atmosphere is building. So I said, Boris, we have a basic problem here. We have no money. He said, no money, huh? So he said, okay, where are we here? San Francisco, the opera, the San Francisco Opera. So he goes over where they keep all the sets for the opera, and he pulls out this set from La Traviata. He says, this would be perfect for The Last Waltz. So we're like, really? It's kind of elegant, and you know, it's beautiful. Marty said, no, this is good. He's on the right track here. We want La Traviata, you know. So anyway, you know, and Marty's thinking Visconti. That's what Visconti would want. So then Boris says to me, okay, and also I was able to get these huge, beautiful chandeliers that we can hang above the stage. And I said, Boris, we're not really the chandelier kind of people, you know. We don't really do chandeliers. He said, they're from Gone with the Wind. I said, how high do you want to hang them? You know?
Mitch wanted to know what it was like to transition from life on the road to a quieter California life with, and in the film business, like what that transition was like for you.
Who said it's quieter?
Mitch.
Yeah. Mitch don't know?
But life on the road versus life at home is different.
Yeah. No, absolutely. This idea of staying in a creative sanctum has always appealed to me, and doing something in a little dark space and then sending it out to the whole wide world. I don't know, even from Big Pink, you know, on through everything, that's been part of the dream for me.
Do you talk to Garth still?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's doing pretty good. Garth lives on another planet. Yeah.
I interviewed him once, and I remember thinking, I don't want you to be any different than how he was. But it was one of the most interesting things I've ever been a part of. Just looking at him, talking to him, it's wild. So creating with him, was he always like that?
Yep.
When you went on the road with Dylan and when you did the things in the band, it was to say something, to do something, to prove something in a way, right? To make it different. So this stage of your life, the record that you're working on, telling the story, I'm really interested in this concept of these veteran lions, you know, because you were so young when you made that early stuff. But some of the great work from some of the great painters and great composers came right near, you know, that when they were grown-ups. You know, what do you still have to say? What is you know, that Robbie Robertson message? What is that now?
Well, I don't know that there's a message, but I know that this hunger is something that I can never satisfy. And so I'm always in search. I'm always on this path, following this path, and running up against things that stop me quite frequently along the way, that I say, man, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna, you know, and just like from the very beginning of stuff, thinking, I like a good fight, you know, and all of these challenges and going into stuff. When I started writing this book, I thought, there's no ghostwriter here. There's nobody doing anything. This is me sitting down with a pen and a paper and writing longhand these stories. I don't know if I can write a good book. I know I can tell these stories and say this stuff, but can I write a good book? It's not bad.
Yeah, it really is. It'll do. There's, you know, not unlike Dylan, there should be another book, and you've already written 300 pages of it, so you could put that in there.
I'm not using that stuff. I'm going to start writing the next volume of this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you know,
And
pretty soon, because I'm still kind of on a roll.
Yeah, he wrote it all longhand on legal pads, by the way. He didn't type it. You wrote the whole thing out.
Yeah. I tried the other things. I tried typing. I tried everything I could. I was all just looking for a shortcut. And then I found out there is none. Yeah.
Speaking of a good fight, let's close on this. Ottawapiskat, Truth and Reconciliation, what Gord Downey's doing, what's happening in Standing Rock. There's a fight going on, and it's a fight that needs all of us to be a part of it. You've talked about this stuff for a long time. What should you say about it now? Where are we now in your mind?
Well, something that goes back this far and goes this deep, you know, these things take hundreds of years, I think, because we've made some progress, but this is going to go on for a long time, is the way it feels like to me. So growing up partially in an indigenous world, in my background, it showed me some things. See, when I was a kid in Toronto and we would go to see the relatives at Six Nations, I thought, wow, they got it made. They know how to do stuff that nobody knows how to do in the city. My cousins, they didn't climb a tree. They ran up a tree. They could do stuff. They could tell that it was going to rain on Thursday. They knew stuff. It amazed me. There was one day, now this is just a boy thing. One day I'm walking along with my cousins. One of my cousins recognizes something. He jumps up in the air and snaps a branch off a tree, and it's a perfectly straight branch. Takes out his knife, and within seconds, carves the most beautiful weapon I had ever seen. And he takes it, and he threw it through the air. And I watched this thing fly through the air and stick into this side of this hill. And he said, I made that for you. It's yours. And I thought, that's the best thing I ever got in my life. Oh my God, how do you do that? So anyway, going into Indian country, and I had a key that they just let me right in. They just loved me to pieces. And then I could go back to the city. They couldn't go back to the city, right? It wasn't until years later that people said, gee, it's really too bad about the Indians, huh? I thought, whoa. And my mother told me at a young age, be proud that you're an Indian, but be careful who you tell. And that was her upbringing. And so what's happening today in North America, in Indian country, the constant thing of just pushing these people further down and further down, it's like there isn't much further to go. You know, what more can you do? And when hearing about Standing Rock, as we were talking about, my attitude was, somebody asked me in an interview, what do you think of us? And my attitude was, get off their goddamn lawn. Leave the people alone. Haven't you done enough to hurt these people? You know, and so the fact that people, and you said you're going, people are going, you know, and protesting there in this part of the country, you know. It's like, what else? What else can you possibly do? It is so cruel. It is so heartless. It is so greedy. It's just nasty ass shit, you know. And so anyway, as long as I'm around, I'm going to make a noise, and I'm going to do, you know, whatever I can, and you know, and hopefully we all are, you know. While I'm here, I'm talking about people about the, you know, Indigenous education in Canada, and how about this? It's a bit better in Canada than it is in other places. I'm proud of that.
As Neil said, Robbie, long may you run, man. Long may you run.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you, George.
Robbie Robertson.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. This was fun. Thank you very much. Yeah.